Bueno. All the things of God. قوانين.
Which companies?
Hello, good evening, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, we can hear
Okay, so let's get back to business. I hope you are doing well.
you. Yes, sir, we are doing great.
Only one person talks. The rest, are you doing well?
Yes, yes, sir, we are
Yes,
doing
we
great.
are doing well.
Yes, yeah, fine.
Okay, so today we are going to do a practical demonstration to what we did some time back on um, the relational paradigm. I mean, the history, little history behind the relational model, EF code, normalization, relational database engines like Postgres, my SQL or my SQL, and other types. All of those kind of stories are simply explained in your textbook, and you are expected to go through them. You can use your AI assistants to help you break things down if you actually need to do so. So in terms of the theory, that should be fine. The textbook and the whole world of information in your palm. Today, what we are going to do is we are going to do the next piece of it and the most important piece of it. That should connect with what you are reading from the textbook so that you get it complete and you can create something with the knowledge we are trying to give you. So that is the practical aspect. Relational databases is a technology which tries to define the way you have to store your data so that you can store volumes of data. We're talking about big data. You can't store big data haphazardly through, the traditional approach, some Excel workbook and Word table where you put things anyhow. No. So these technologies that can make you store massive amounts of data. It's not just about the storage, but the seamless extraction of insight from this massive amount of data is what this technology mainly is, right? So we told you that the relational database relies on the SQL programming language to structure things, to define the database elements, and manage the whole database. So it's a computer kind of game, right? You type some code, the computer understands it through the database engine, and then it executes that command. So we will take the opportunity to learn a few SQL codes. But our first approach to make it more friendly for you to connect, we'll try to be doing some graphical stuff as well. So the implementation, the RDBMS, the database engine, the relational database engine that we are going to use to look at this practical part of the course is Microsoft Access. Our choice for Access is that um, for you as absolute beginners without any computer science background, business students, of course, you don't need a computer science background to be able to do this. This is for business. Businesses deal with data. Accounting is a database. Accounting information system. It's an information system. Information system is basically a database. So all accounting students should be able to design a simple database that manages the things they are doing. You should not just be reading about terminologies and writing some stuff on a sheet of paper. You should be able to create one yourself. That is the only time you can say you have learned something. Yeah, so, and that is what we are trying to do for you. So we will proceed with Access because Access is very friendly for beginners like us because it uses graphical interface to kind of implement the relational model. And then we will later look at how the SQL language can be used, can be embedded so that we can get it more friendly in terms of connecting to it. Yeah, so you're supposed to have your access. Okay, so what I'm going to do is that I'm going to show you some database. This database is an access database. The database you're seeing on screen. It's an access database. Which was built for a company that buys and sells goods. So I'm going to use the opportunity to show you a few things, and then the main thing we'll be doing is to create one ourselves. So when you look at this, you see that Access has this interface. I'm taking the opportunity to explain the interface a little bit for you. As for the top part of the program, we explained it when we were doing the exposure to the analytics tools, the Excel part. The top part, Microsoft organizes all of them the same way. So Excel, Word, all of them, the ribbon looks similar, except that the ribbon containers, the tabs will contain different tools, but the organization is essentially the same. So in Access, you have this thing we call navigation pane. So this is where the database objects you create. For example, these are the database tables. Customers, let me close all the stuff we have. So we have customers. So you can see the customers. It's a small database. This is the customers that buy from us. And we have the table for customers, only customers. You remember from your reading and from the introduction I gave you, one of the cardinal or the distinguishing features of relational database is that we don't store multiple things in the same table. Each table stores specific data that that table's name is meant to store. For example, customers stores customer-specific data. Employees, employee-specific data. So you can see employees are also here. Orders, you can see the orders that have been placed so far. You can see order details
I'm
according
not
to
about job.
monitor those people and just delete.
Joining online class.
Okay, so this is the orders table, and you can see that it stores other specific details like order ID, salesperson. All of these things are specific about orders. Order ID, salesperson, the customer, the order date, the ship date, paid dates, and stuff like that, right? When we collapse the tables objects and we come to queries, another important object, you can see that per the way we design relational databases, many tables, but we can make the tables talk to themselves. And when we are querying, you can call multiple tables because the tables talk to themselves. Any data that you draw from the tables are correctly related to themselves as you want. For example, let me see a query where some two tables are joined. For example, let's say sales rep. Sales Okay, so let's start with simple queries. And of course, I'm showing you all of these because when we are creating one, you'll see that, oh, okay, it's not too difficult to create. Let's look at a simple query, which is saying a query for the product, right? Only the product. And when we click here, you will see the products and their unit prices. And when I right-click, let me right-click the query tab here and move to design view, you will see how the query was built. The query was built simply as calling, let me bring this a little down so you can see. And it's a query from a single table. So you can see the table that we are doing the querying from. That is the product table. So they are picking product ID, this one, product name is this one, and then unit price is this one. And then when we run, that's all the information we want from this single table, and that's what we get. So for example, if I needed more information from that table for the kind of report that I want to do, for example, maybe in addition to this, I need, let me see. Okay. Let me say I need product code, right? I can just double click on this and it will drop into the query grade. The query grade simply is showing you, okay, the kind of columns from the table that you have put, and you can see these check marks when you double click to bring them here. And you can also build criteria to filter. We'll talk about that one as well. And then you can see a criteria that is being put here, ascended. It means that we are sorting the table. I mean, yeah, the table that it will bring, the records that it will bring, we are sorting them ascending. Ascending is like smaller to bigger. Okay, so in this case, if you are doing the sorting on the product name, smaller to bigger will be like from the A alphabet to the Z. I mean, it is done so. We can also do the sorting. For example, we can do the sorting on the unit price, right? On the unit price, and say we want the biggest to the smallest. So the biggest, so we are sorting on this one, descending. And we have added product code, right? So when we run this, you will see that it will run to show the modification we have done. You will see that we have 53, 46, 40, 39. We have sorted the list on the basis of the highest to the lowest on the unit price column. And then we have also added product code, okay? So this is one of the few things that makes relational databases so much fun to learn and to use in your real life. It's not something you learn to get a grade on a sheet of paper. That's completely nonsense. So this is just a demonstration, and how we do this, we're going to do one ourselves by creating tables. Don't disturb my teaching by putting things on the screen, please. Just listen. That's all you need to do. Okay, so this is from a single table. Let me try to do a little bit more complex querying. Complex in the sense that I don't mean to start this query. I want to really build the query from two related tables. So let me come to create. I'm showing you how you do a query. This one are pre-made queries, and then I just modify the pre-made query. Now you're going to create a query fresh by yourself. So when you go to the create tab, you can see all the things you can create. Mostly they are the database objects, like a table, and you can also create a query, and you can create a form, you can create a report. These are the three main database objects used in Access. So I want to create a query. So I'm going to query design. That's one if you want to create it from scratch. And by default, Access labels your query, query one, query two, query three, unless you give it a customized name. Like if I do save, because the first time it will give me a window to kind of customize the name. So let me just say custom query. All right, so custom query will be added to the queries that have been built. So let's go to C column. I think it arranges them. Okay, it just drop it far below, unassigned object. So custom query, see, that's the one we are building. So you can see, this is where you will bring the tables that you want to draw into the query here. And then this is the section that shows which columns of the tables that have been selected and which criteria you are building for the query. So let's say for this kind of, let me go to tables, okay? So you can see the database elements that you can draw into making a query, notably tables and queries. You can build a query from another query, but most of the time you do it from tables. So let's say I want to do customers and others, right? Customers and the others. And you can see we have a relationship between them. We will talk about relationship when we are building one, but read very well about relationships. One-to-one relationship, one-to-many relationships, many-to-many relationships, and how we build them, how we implement them in real world. So this is an implementation of one-to-many relationship. Basically, what it is saying is that, okay, this is customers table, this is orders table. The two tables talk to themselves, they relate to themselves. Just like you guys have relationships with yourself. Someone is someone's boyfriend, someone is another person's girlfriend, someone is another person's brother, and so on and so forth. Those kind of relationships also exist. So because we break the whole system into logical, independent components, expect these kind of relationships to exist between these independent components for the system to work as a system. So customers place orders, and orders are placed by customers. Okay, so that's how we do the assessment of relationships, actually. So, and now let's look at the cardinality, the numbers that are involved. As for the relationship, we know that customers place orders, so the two tables are related, even just by that halfway of assessing. But what is the cardinality? What are the numbers involved in the relationship? What it means is this. When you have a table like this, we have records in the customer's table, records in the order table. So in the order, when there is an order, we put just the order details here. It is possible that multiple orders will be here, and those multiple orders is coming from the same person here. So that's how we have one here that can relate to many here. But it doesn't work the reverse way. We cannot have one order, one single order that belongs to multiple people. Okay, so this ends one to many. And this is how we do the relationship. I can right click on the relationship bar and see the kind of join. Okay, you also need to read about join, but I don't really need to talk about join at this time. The default join is inner join. Inner join means we are bringing records where the two tables have something in common. We'll talk more about joins later. Okay, so this is the relationship, and now let's see what we want to, what report we want to build between these two tables. What I want to do is that I want the customer ID, the customer name, primary contact. Primary contact, what is, let me enlarge this one a little bit. Some of the names are truncated. This is fine. So customer ID, customer name, no, I don't need customer last name. Customer contact first name. Customer contact job title. Primary contact, email address, business phone. I think I need business phone. And then city. And then I need from the related orders, the customer. The customer who actually sorry, the employee. So this is the employee. The employee who was responsible for this kind of sale between the customer and the company. So I have employee ID. And then the customer, I don't need a customer ID. I need, the customer ID is drawn here. I need okay, so let me do one thing, all right? Let me see if we have products here. Products doesn't seem to have a relationship. So for what we have in this default database, this is a default database that comes with access. It is called Not Wind Traders. I mean, we have starter edition, developer edition. So find it and develop it and begin to play around it, those who are enthusiastic. So this is what the relationship they have built. Of course, we can also add, it is meant for you to learn, so not all the relationships have been built. So let's say we want to kind of do a query between these tables. So customer information, and then I need to pick a few of the other information, other dates, and then and let's say pay date, right? For now, that's all we want to do. When you run, we just want to show you that you can pull information when the relationships arrive from multiple tables. It can even be 3 or more. And then when you run, it will pull this kind of information for you. Okay, so this is what we requested. It's going to pull it from the tables that matter, the relevant tables. So this is the customer ID. So we can see customer 11111. And that customer, okay, the customer name is here. The business phone number is here. We requested for it. The city is Redmond. Salesperson ID. The person who facilitated the sale. Salesperson ID. The first one was salesperson 9, salesperson 1, and so on and so forth. Other date is here. Paid dates, not yet paid. So you can see this kind of reports built. Yeah. So this is simple. Yes, please go ahead and ask your question.
So, sir, please, I wanted to ask you, like, the information that just came, where did it pop up from?
Which information?
The table, everything that just came onto the screen.
This is a sample table. It's a sample database that comes with access. So you can download it on the internet. I think, let me see, when you open access, let me try to go to access homepage. If I can even do that. Then you will see so you will see this North Wind Starter edition. So you can download this. That is the one I'm showing. It comes automatically with access. So the data you are seeing there are pre-entered. All right.
Yes, sir.
It means when you create yours and you enter data into it, you see something like this. That's the idea. That's what we want you to understand. And we're also giving you introduction to, if you have, let's say you have a company database built with access. This is how you can pull information. This is how you query the database for information in that graphical sense. Okay. Any other question apart from what he asked? And then you see, we have tables like the one I showed you. Let's see tables. Let me collapse the queries. And you see tables. You have all of these tables. The one who you have your own tables.
Yeah, class contested more. Like group 1. 3 people won. Then one from group 2, and then the other from.
So these tables you see, which you will create one for yourself. We for the purposes of data integrity, we do not enter data into the tables automatically. For example, let me open customers. I can add another record here. Let me add a record here. So customer, let's say one of you is a customer. Who wants to be a customer? Just tell me your name. A simple name.
Gideon.
Gideon. So Gideon
Azuma.
Gideon, is it right? Even if it is not right, it's okay for now. Gideon what?
Kwabena.
Gideon Kwabena. Sharp.
Yes.
So this is Gideon Kwabena. Okay, this is customer name, right? And then we have it split into first and last name. So let's say customer name. Usually customer name, the customer name is the organization name, and the first and last name are the representative of the organization. So let's say you have an organization. How would you call your organization? You have some small business. What?
Sunda.
What? I hear well, you won't even for me business there.
Sunda.
Ogidus Company Limited.
I don't know. I mean,
Okay, so Gideon's institution's name is Sandex. He is Gideon Kwabena, or let's say Gideon Kwabens. And then his job title is, let's say, CEO. And then, no, CEO doesn't usually buy. So let's say he's procurement officer. Procurement officer who works for Sandex. Procurement officer. And then your phone number is something, something, something. Let me just type some numbers as a dummy. And then we have your address to be not available now. Your city is Cape Coast. And then your state is okay, so they have some data integrity things. You must enter a value in the customers.address field. I need to enter a value there, otherwise I can't proceed. So let me just enter 222 Amamoma. Just trying to follow what they have typed. Amamoma UCC. Sharp. And then we go to your state as central region. So CR, and then your zip is 0000. And then your website. Okay, so added by me, I added you. Forget about the rest. So we have added someone, but this is a very cruel way of actually entering records into your database. We don't give the database tables to the front users. For example, if you go to the bank, the tellers are taking your details, entering some things, going into account, they are accessing database tables, but they don't come here to access the table. We make them connect to the table through some window, through forms, right? So Microsoft Access also has forms. When it comes to the create, you can see forms here, right? Let's see an example of form. A typical example of form is this welcome form, which the people who did this database have done. But you can create your customized forms. Let me see if they have other forms. So let me collapse this and come to, you have tables, report, queries. Okay, so we can create forms. Of course, I can show you how to create one. If you want to create forms, you just need to come to create. Let's create a form on this database, even though it's not ours. Create, and then I come to form design. Form design is where you really want to kind of have full control and do everything from scratch because you want a form to be the way you want it to look at, to feel. So you see this grid, and then I can, let me, I can, let me click here and see, okay, so that I can see the tables that we can draw the form on. So probably if I want to do a form for customers or form for employees, whatever, then I can draw. Yeah, I can draw the fields here onto this canvas and begin to do my form. For example, so let me show you some basic way. So let's say usually the IDs are auto-populated, so you don't really need the ID to be on your form. So maybe I want this one to be here, and I want this to be here. I'll not really worry about the snappiness of the design. I just want to show you how we build forms. And let's say I need this, all right? Just let's experiment with this. So when I show this form in form view, this is how you'll see it. So you can see these labels, Nancy, blah, 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 blah. And when I click here to add a new one, then I'll be adding. This is usually how you fill forms on the internet. This form is connected to a database table and picking the data, dumping them in the table. So that is how the two parts are connected. Any questions so far? Any questions? Okay, so that's enough for the illustration. We are going to do quick, about 15 minutes demonstration of our own. And then you will do a project on it. It's a group project. It's an SCB project.
Huh?
Who said that? Okay. So now let's forget about not when traders. It's a default database that ships with Microsoft Access for you to be exposed to how it works. There's a video on it. It's free. It comes with Access itself. I showed you when you come here. When you come to the file, you see that it is here. It is on Microsoft server. So when you click, you should have internet and it will download. And when you download, you can begin to play along with it. You can watch videos with it, the videos on it, and so on and so forth. Now, we want to create our own database. And this is what we are going to use to create a database. Let me show you this schema. Yeah, Gerald, go ahead and talk.
Please, when I open my access, I'm not having the Northwind starter something.
Which version of Access are you using?
Uh, 2016, I guess.
What?
2016.
2016, maybe. This one is, I think, 2021, 2024. But it is there on the internet. So just go Microsoft, go to the internet and say Microsoft Access, not when database or not when Access database. Download. It is there, it's free. You can download it.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Any other concern, please? Or question? Yes, go ahead.
Sir, please, when do we have to create the form?
That's a nice question, but I think we should throw the question to ourselves. You yourself, what do you think? We'll start from you and then we'll let others help us. Ask the question again, please.
Please, my question was, when is there the need to create a form?
Why and when is there the need for creating a form? What do you think first?
Um, So I'm kind of lost. That's why I asked the question.
No, because I explained when I introduced a form, I talked about it. What did I say about form? Tell us what you remember about the form. Who remembers and wants to speak about it to him? When I did that quick demo, I was explaining why we don't enter data straight into the tables, but we do it through forms. Who can tell him? Okay, the key reason is that the information, let's say, you see when you go, I'm using the bank as an example. When you go to the bank, the people's accounts, the monies, multiple people, multiple companies, all of them are tables like you saw. All of them are tables in a relational database like these ones. They are tables. And where there needs to be a relationship like you saw, there are relationships. Like if you come here and then I do, okay, you can see multiple relationships among the tables here. So that is how it works with a bank's database. That's how it works. Let's say a teller works directly with the tables. So when he wants to maybe withdraw money or add money, he goes to the table, he can see every detail there, including everybody in the table. Because when you open the table, this is how the table opens. Let's say this is the customers. Okay, so everything opens. Maybe that customer should not have seen this, sorry, that teller should not have seen all of these account holders except this one. But if you open the whole table, you see everything. Yeah, so you can't implement security measures when you have to enter the data straight in the tables. I just showed you how to do that with Gideon Quabbins that we created. But I told you that we do not, on everyday usage, except maybe on a few occasions where the database administrator needs to fix something, and then he has to fix it probably by going to the tables. And usually you go to the tables when there is a modification. You only go to the tables when you have to make a structural modification to the table and the database. You don't go to the table because you want to update the table by probably withdrawing money from the person's account or adding money to the person's account, mainly for security reasons. So through the forms, we can assign authorizations. When you log in with your account, you see what you're allowed to see, but the table, everything shows up. Yeah, so read about it yourself. Why we enter data or we make the end user connect to the table through forms rather than the full table. Every information is in your palm, so read about it yourself. Any question? Any other question? Yes, go ahead.
Sir, please, I want to ask if there are videos of maybe on your YouTube channel in relation to this so that it would help
Yes,
us.
I'll share them to you.
All right, sir. Thank you very much.
Yeah. So let's now use a few minutes to demonstrate how we will build our own database, right? So this is what I did, and you have to do the same thing when you are learning. So I came to, this is Perplexity, right? You can use your own AI model. So you can dialogue with Perplexity that, okay, I want to build this one, the one we are using to demonstrate. We want to build social club, let's say for accounting level 2. We want to have a database for all of us so that when we finish school, we remember ourselves through the database. Someone manages the database, he can get this person's number, he can get where he is, blah, 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 blah. Or it can be some club like, yeah, Code Fusion wants to establish data club for students, right? Because the whole world is data now, so that you can pick your data and digital skills in a more smarter way. So let's say we are building a database for the data cloud, right? So something like that. You can describe exactly what you want to do. And then you ask the AI that, okay, give me or help me to create a schema, okay? The table structures, and then the definition of the constraints for the columns. If you don't understand constraint, don't worry now. All of those things, the AI can give you that structure. You only need to ask the AI, please, I'm learning for the first time, so what do these things mean? So you learn them, but you do not necessarily need to sit down and create all of them. As you are doing them by dialoguing, you will learn to understand them yourself. So this is the schema we are going to use. So for our social club, the tables, okay, we are broken the club into this. Members, so we're going to create members table. And this is SQL code for creating the table if you're using the SQL language. And then we have events. We have member events. That is a junction table between the members and event. Moses, go ahead. So we have member events table. I will explain why we have members, and then we have events, and then we have member events. And then we have rules table, and then we have member rules table. We have payments. Okay, so let's say this is how we want our database to be. I'll share this this with you. I'll share this page with you so that you can open and access the same thing as we are doing, and you can use it to learn. So now let's see how we create it in Access. So now let's come to File, because I want to create a new database. I come to blank database, right? Let's forget about Northwind. Northwind was an attached database that was meant for us to familiarize ourselves with Access databases. So I'm going to call my database. So you get this window where you can rename your database, and you can also put it where you want to put it on your computer. So I'm going to call it Social Club DB, right? And I want it to be sitting in my documents folder. Okay, so documents folder. Okay, that's fine. So now I can hit create, and then it creates. So it's asking me to probably close the Northwind Trader Starter Edition. Do you want to save changes to the design query? No, because it needs to close before this one can open. No, just close. Do you want to save changes to? I don't want to save any of them. So you close. No. Okay. So now we have our own created. If you create a database, it creates by default a table, because that is the primary database object. A database, a relational database, it's predominantly, it's everything about tables. It's all about tables. Who is drawing on my screen? Kezia. What is your problem with what you are doing? If I see that again, I'll just remove you from the class. Okay, so you see access opens, access database opens, and this is how you called it. Social Club DBs here, and this is the path that is in your documents folder. And then you see it opens with a default table, and then the default name is table 1. So we can right click and then go to save to rename it. So in accordance with the scheme that we are using, let me go back to the scheme again so everybody sees it. The first table 1 is members. So I'm just going to call it members table. So members, you can make it start with capital M or small m, it doesn't really matter. So members, we have created members table, it's here. Right. Table has basically 2 views. This is the data sheets view. I mean, the normal table view like Excel. But when you are designing the table, where you want to make sure normalization, everything, specifying the data type for each of the column, you don't do it here. You go to the design view of the table. So you can see view here. When you click down, you will see 2 main views, data sheet view and design view. So when I go to design view, it's the same table, but we are back to its to the same table in its design view. And now this is where all the principles about relational databases apply. So you can see that there's a default field or column name. It said ID, because for relational database, every table should have a primary key. So it has given you 1 by default. You do not need to keep the name. The name is generic, so you have to. So this one, we'll call it member ID. Let's go to our schema and confirm what exactly we said it should be. Yeah, member ID like this, so I can copy everything here if I want. Copy it and come back and say, okay, this should be called member ID. Access has several data types. When I click here, you see most of the data types that Access uses. You can see auto number, short text, long text number, large number, date time, extended, currency, auto, blah, 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 okay? This auto number data type is actually a number data type, but the system auto generates them. The reason why it does it like that is because of the primary work, the purpose of a primary key. What is the purpose of a primary key? It's a question to the whole class. What is the purpose of a primary key from your readings? You have to be quick, because if my time ends, I'll end it anywhere I should end it, and then exam questions are already set. Quick, just say what you know. What is the purpose of a primary key? Yeah, Samuel, go ahead.
Okay, so the primary key shows the relationship between 2 tables. So if, let's say, the member ID is the primary key for the table having the name of members, in another table too, we have another primary key which creates the relationship between that 2 tables.
No. What you said is a marriage between a primary key and a foreign key. I'm asking, within one table like this, what is the purpose of the primary key? Yeah, Gerald.
Sir, please, the primary key, it makes it unique.
It makes what unique? Yeah, I know you have the idea, but you need to complete it. The uniqueness is a very, very powerful word in this context. But the way you said it is not understandable to our friends who want to learn. It makes what unique?
It
Okay,
makes the table unique.
Okay, so it's uniquely identifies each record.
Okay, good. So you see, this table is going to store members. It's going to store members. Let me go to the schema quickly and show you something. It's going to store members' first name, their last name, their email, their phone. Okay. For this one, well, we don't envisage that two phone numbers will be the same between two members and even email addresses. But let's say we were keeping a data which was just first name and last name, and let's say date joined and date of birth. It is possible if the database is for a large group of people, let's say all people in Ghana, it's possible that you can get multiple people with the same first name, the same last name, the same date joined, and the same date of birth. In that case, when you are querying the database for one of these multiple people, it becomes problematic. So we always make one column, a dedicated column, that the rest of them can be the same, it doesn't matter, but that one always needs to create a difference among the various members we are going to add. So the primary key's main purpose in the members table is to uniquely identify each member we add to the table. Is that okay? And when we want to do that, we set it to auto number as a data type. Now we can add the rest of the fields. So I'm going to do first name, first name should be set to every field should have one and only one data type. So you define a data type for it. First name is a character, it's a text, all right? So we use short text. Long text is for a very long, like a paragraph or let's say a page. So short text. And even with short text, Access gives you 255 characters. I don't think anybody's first name will span up to that. So you can shorten it and make it like, let's say 30. And then there are a lot of things you can also change here. For now, we are not much interested. You can watch videos and learn more about these sites. They are important to know. Most of the things here help you to bulletproof your database and make it more robust. So, okay, this is first name. Let's go to the schema. And then copy the other ones. Last name. Okay, so as I am doing the Access graphical one, I also have to explain the SQL one. So you see we did short text. And then I changed the field size to 30. In SQL language, text, we have two types of text. We have char, or you can say car, which is C-H-A-R. You can say char, or you can say car. People say it's different. Okay, so car for character, right? Car is a fixed set of characters. So when I change this one from var car to car 50, it means that the allocation of memory for this storage will always be 50 characters, even if I use less than 50 characters. And that is problematic because if I assign 50 and I use less than 50, the extra unused spaces are still going to be reserved in the memory and it's going to make your database slow. So var variable character, even though we specify 50, if you don't use all the 50, it kind of shrinks back to what we have used. Okay, so that is the data type in SQL that we use for storing strings. Var. Okay, so that's in Access, you see this short text kind of thing. Now let's do last name. I do last name here, and that should be short text, and I set it to 30, like you see var car 50, var car 30, and so on and so forth. Email, varchar 100, and then it is given a constraint of unique. This is a SQL command, which is going to make all the columns here. It's going to force all the columns on that email to be unique. So it's not going to accept the same thing. And we can set the same thing for phone, right? You can set the same unique constraint on phone so that no two phone numbers are the same. We do that for the columns where we want uniqueness of values. We don't want duplicates. All right, so in Access, the implementation is simple. Email, and email is a short text, and we can set it to, I think the longest email probably might be 50 characters. Of course, it depends in your situation and your experience. If you think you have to make it 100, you have to do so. But you try to make sure that you don't bloat your database. If the spaces will not be used, you don't really add unnecessary plenty spaces. And then phone is varchar 50 in this case, 20. Phone here will be short text, let's say 20. And then date joined. Date joined is, we have data types here, date time extended. Let's use date time. And date time, I think we can, they have, let me see, we have some formats. Yeah, we have some formats that we can choose to modify the way the date appears. We can use a medium, no. Let's use medium dates, all right, where we have 12 November. So let's say 12 November 2015. Or we can use long one where it brings even the date, Thursday, November 12, blah, blah, blah. This one is fine. It gives us all the information. So let's format it for this. So you have to also check about the properties here and learn more about them. We go back to the schema again, and then we have status. The status of the member, whether he is active, inactive. So we have these kind of options, 1, 2, 3. So we come here, status. Even before status, I think we can do date of birth if it is necessary. Date of birth too will be date time. I think it is good for us to do the date of birth of members for some important usage, definitely. And we can set it to the same medium dates. And then we come to status. Status, we have basically 3 options: active, inactive, pending. So we can pre-type those things already to make it a lookup. So I can come to lookup and evoke the lookup wizard. Let me read a few things here. This wizard creates a lookup field, which displays a list of values you can choose from. How do you want the lookup field to get its values? Sometimes the values might exist in another table, so you can look up the values from that table. In this case, we don't have those values in any other table. We want to type them right here. So I will type in the values that I want. So I choose that option and go to the next option. And now we have to type them here. So the other one is active. The next one is inactive. And I think the third one was pending. Okay, so I go to next, and then let's say, okay, status. And then we have the option of limit to the list. We can keep it open. Maybe in the future we can have options, so we can keep it. Do you want to store multiple values for this lookup? No. So that's okay, finish, right? And we are done. When you turn the table in datasheet view, do you want to save? Yes, I want to save. You will see that under this status, you will see this drop down, and then you see them, and then choose from. Yeah, so basically we are done with our first table. You can see the table in datasheet view. You see that the field names are actually the column names. And now you can add members. It's ready to take the first ID. This one is auto-generated. That's where it says, like, yeah, Isaac, go ahead and talk.
David, I want to ask with the phone column, why is it that the data type is not number but then short text?
Good question. Good question. Number in database design programming, number means that it is a field that we want to do calculation of. For example, revenue cost, so we want to do cost minus revenue to see margin. You don't want to do your phone number times another person's phone number or your phone number divided by 3 to get any meaningful information. Yeah, so that's why we don't store it as number, but you can store it as number. And it also depends on, for example, where we have this choice of whether we can store it as number or we can store it as text. Then you decide whether the overhead of storing it as number is heavier than text. And then you can choose one. But basically, if the thing is not a value that it is naturally meant for computations to be applied on, you can store them as text, like your phone number, zip code, and stuff like that. Are you okay? I hope you're okay. Any other question?
Sir,
Yes.
status, some of us did not get it. So can you go over the status, how you did it again for us?
I'll send you the video and then you can watch it. So there's no time, we have to make progress. Watch the video, please. Yes, thank you. So let's do the other table. So we are done with members table. You can delete it from here because we have it in the navigation pane. You can double click and it will open up for you to see. And you can close it up. So now let's come to create and do another table. Where is table? So table, yes. Oh, I went to query, sorry. Table. Yep, table is here. And we go straight to design view. This one is, let me go to the schema to know the next table to create. The next table is events table. So I'm going to call it events. Okay, so we are going to say events ID. I think this is how the schema names them. Let me look at it. Well, so next time I'll even copy. Yeah, event ID. Good, event ID. And then the next one, event ID is an integer. So that is SQL. So this is how you will type it in the SQL editor to execute it. Primary key. That means this is a primary key. Event name is a character column. So varchar 100. Event date is date time. Location is varchar. Description is text. Max attendance is end. So it follows the same kind of thing we are doing. So I'll do event name because I've done event ID. And then I'll put it here and say it is short text. And then let me reduce it to, let's say, 50 characters. Then I come back to here and do event dates. event dates, date time, and I want to use this format, which is friendly for me, medium date format. I go to the next one. Location. Location is short text. And maybe I'll make it 50. If you think it should be 100, based on your practical circumstances, you do it so. Description. If you think the description can be long, then you can set it to long text. Well, long text is very big. So when you set it to long text, that's fine. Maximum attendance for the event is number. So we choose number. And we are done. We save this. You can see it in data sheet, view, and you have all of them. And once you choose the right, what do we call it? Data type, for example, event date, then you can get access to date pickers like this one to select the date and other things. Okay, any questions? Any questions so far? Isaac?
No, sir.
Okay, let's go ahead. Then we
So I
have,
thought you said we are to use it the
please come again.
so please, I was
Mike,
saying
you
you
were
said with the
talking.
data. I was saying you said with the data type we are to use numbers means we are there with some computation and stuff.
Yes, so in
But
this
but
case, yes, go ahead, please.
but with the maximum attendance, I don't know why we are using the numbers. So I don't understand why we use numbers for maximum attendance.
Okay, so let's say we have event ID, let's say event 1. Within the period, event 1, maximum attendance is, let's say, 10 people. Event 2, 50 people. Event 3, 100 people. Wouldn't want us to know that, okay, for the whole year, the average attendance for all of our events. We want to know. We want to know the meeting with the maximum attendance from all the rest. We want to know that, okay, all the meetings that we had, even though different ones may come with different attendance, when we put all the attendance together, what is the maximum? And these are sensible metrics we want to compute, as opposed to adding all your phone numbers together or finding the average of your phone numbers. Are you okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yes, go ahead. Go ahead, the person who raised their hand, quickly.
Yeah. Hello,
Mr.
sir. So please, I wanted to know whether one member, let's say that one member can attend more than one of the events.
We are not talking about relationships. That question belongs to relationships. Ask questions pertaining to what we are doing. Because people are following and they need to follow piece by piece. If you have read ahead, it doesn't mean you should disturb those who are following what we are doing. Okay, so we are done with events. Now we have 2 tables created. Let's create the last one, and then we will end for you to go and complete the rest, and then you'll be given your own project to do. So let's come to the schema. The next one is member events, and I will explain why we have member events. Okay, so let me copy the name. I'm lazy. And then I'll come to create table and then name it member event. Okay. And then let's go to the schema. So we have member ID, event ID, event ID. Okay, event ID is integer. The equivalence in access is number. And then we go to the next one. Next one is attendance status, which is also some auto. We can make it a drop-down field or a drop-down column. So attendance status, as a drop-down, we have confirmed, attended, cancelled. But what's the difference between confirmed and attended? Well, just for demonstration purposes, we can do it a lookup or a drop-down column where we have these things. If there is some other names more practical in your use case, you can do that. Attendance status, attended, not attended. I mean, it can be as simple as these two options. Or, yes, attended, not attended, attendance status. I think that can be fine. So in our case, we'll do it like that. So I come here and do lookup. The person who asked a question about the lookup, follow this process while I'm doing it again. I will type the values that I want. The reason is you have two options. If the values are already in some table columns, you can choose, for example, if I choose this one and move next, then it will say, okay, it means I only look up the values from a table. Then it shows you all the tables. And then you can click on the table. For example, if you click on members and you go to next, then it will show you all the columns in members that you want to pull the values from. But the values don't exist in a table that we want to pull from. In many implementations, that's how it will be. We'll be pulling the values from somewhere. In this case, we'll type it ourselves. Go to next. And then it gives you these columns to type. So we are going to do attended and not attended. Attended, not attended. I think it is fine, or you can use equivalent words that make sense to you. Okay, so attendance status limit, we can keep it open. Maybe we want to, increase the options, allow multiple values, not really, and then finish. So we are done. Now let's go to the schema and see if there is something else to do. Yep. So these are the three main ones. These things are just setting them. So we have a foreign key, member ID here. So I'm going to put member ID again. Okay, no. Inside the member table, we will put the okay, so this is how we will do. This is a many-to-many relationship. So the person who asked about the relationship, you can listen if it answers your question. Now we have member events. Member events is a junction table that is sitting in between members and events. And the reason why we do that thing is that we do not model many-to-many relationship directly between the two tables. We break the many-to-many relationship into two one-to-many relationships. So there's a table that sits between the two tables that have many-to-many relationships. And then we do one-to-many to the junction table and another one-to-many from the other table to the junction table. So this is what it means. Events and members have relationships. Events are attended by members. Members attend events. That's the relationship between them. And now let's look at the cardinality. If we open the members table, this is the events table. So let's say events ID 1. And then we can have event 1, event 2, event 3. We can have, let's say, up to 10 events. When we pick any one event, how many records in the members table? As for members, we can have Dushuado, we can have Rex, we can have all the people, we can have many people. So we want to see, when we pick one record here, how many can it match here? And then we do it from the reverse side. One record here, how many can it match on the other side? When you pick one member like myself, I can be related to multiple events because I can attend multiple events. So my ID can relate to multiple IDs of the events. And when you take one event can also relate to many members because the same event can be attended by many members. So you get one to many here and then another one to many here. And that gives you many to many. Anytime you have one mapping to many here, and then you do it from the reverse, one mapping to many here, you get many to many. And many to many, we don't model it straight. So we break it into two through a junction table like this one. So the junction table modeling, let's look at the scheme. Is that the member ID and the event ID here, let me go to the here. Yes, you see, I'm talking about this. The member ID here and the event ID here, all of them will be made primary key. For now, this is a primary key. And how you know a field is a primary key is that you will see that this key symbol is attached to that field. So if you want to make this one, the event ID also a primary key, we select it and click on this key. Okay, so let's select both of them. Select both of them and click on the key. Both of them are primary keys. So this primary key will relate to, so when we come to event, for example, members table, the member ID here will relate to the member ID here. And when we go to the event table, the event ID here will relate to the event ID here. Let's go back to the schema and see, confirm that. Okay, so this is the SQL code. So you see, primary key is these two, this and this. So we pass the primary key constraint on these two. And then foreign key, member ID, this member ID, references members in the members table. There's a member ID there. So that's how we connect them as a primary key and a foreign key. We will do the connection and then we will see how it works. So we are done with, let me see if there's any column, other column we need to do. No. So this is the events, members events table, which is kind of bridging the gap between the two tables. So these three tables are okay. Now, let's see how we do table relationship. We could have done it automatically, but now that we have the tables already done, we can come back to database tools and then we can have relationships. For now, we don't have any relationships here. So it's blank, but you can see the tables here. So we can call all the tables on board and begin to establish the relationship between them. Okay, so we have events. I think I prefer it this way. It doesn't really matter, but I want here. What is most important is that the member event is sitting in between them as the junction or the bridge table. Then we can do this. We have member ID here. Let's drag it to member ID here. And then we can see that the relationship, edit relationship dialog box is automatically evoked. And let me, member ID to member ID, and let me see what it's trying to do. Member ID to member ID, okay. And you can also, you have to read about these kind of things in this dialog box. You have to know about them. Enforce referential integrity. When I check it, cascade update related fields. What does it mean? Cascade delete related records. What does it mean? Use AI to learn about it. So let me check them, or you can leave them unchecked. And let's say we click on create. Yeah, Bright, your hand is up.
Oh, please. People start with 1 to 1. Now, what is it?
I can hardly hear you. Please make sure you speak clearly so I can hear you.
I was saying my relationship type is 1 to 1, but yours is indeterminate.
Yes. So let's see. You usually
Okay.
will go into this kind of back and forth when you are practically implementing them. That's not a problem. If it is not the one you think it should be, it means maybe something needs to be adjusted somewhere. Like in my case, I'll go back to let me just leave here. I'll go back to the events table, go to the design and see. Okay, what I'll do, I usually don't implement it like this. This probably I think is a SQL specific way. What I'll do is this. Let me set another rule. And then I'll do member event ID. And this will be the primary key. So I'm going to take the primary key from here. Because the kind of relationship I want to model is one to many and another one to many, right? So let's see. So this will be number. This will be number. I'm going to set this one to auto number. Okay. With this modification, let me see. Okay, so access has its own specific resistance. It means it's saying I cannot do it directly as I've done. Let me check. Save. Okay, so let me delete this. Delete row. Yes. Let me save and see what happens. Okay. These things are normal for when we are implementing them practically. So member event ID. Okay, so it works. I'm only going to move this one up to be number one. Okay, so we are done with what I want to do. And now this is going to be the primary key. This one, member ID events. Okay. And then I have a foreign key here that should connect. Usually that is how we build one-to-many relationships. One primary key connects to a foreign key. When you do primary key to primary key, the default relationship it does is one-to-one, like you saw. So now that I have this, let me close this, save, and then come back here. So now I have here as a foreign key that maps. Okay, let me go to I think one problem too was in the members table. I didn't set the member ID as a primary key. So here, design. And then I set this one as a primary key. Let me also check the events, if all of those things are there. Okay, events, we have the event ID as a primary key. So all of these things are right. Now, let me go back to the relationship table. Oh, let me close. Usually when you're doing relationships, Access wants you to close all tables that you want to draw into the relationship. Otherwise, it will give you some weird response like error, as if something bad is happening, but nothing really is happening. Now tables are closed. So this is a primary key, so it is a foreign key here. Now if I drop here onto the same its kind, then you get one-to-many relationship. One member can relate to many of member events. And then this will also be one-to-many here. So let's do the creation. And then we have event ID here. Map into event ID here. That's also another one-to-many relationship. And that's fine. Okay. So now when you have data, so let's say I put some data. And how do you put the data? That is where forms come in. Even though it's a small database and you may want to experiment by putting data straight into the tables, that's not how it should be done. So you come to here, create, and then you can come to forms. Let me close this relationship. See, you can come to forms. So if I want to create a form on members, I can click on members table icon here, and then click on this form. When you choose form design, like you are building everything from scratch. So form, then it will pick all the fields in that table. And it even sees that that table has a relationship with the member event. So it tries to pull a related table and show it as a grade here. So you can see member event ID if you want to show, and then event ID and stuff like that. But the main focus, so now I can go back to design view if I want to drop the down part. I go back to design view and maybe just delete this one. because I don't really need it. And then I will come back here, and make my form a little bit snappy. And then yes, I can save it as members form. And form also has two main views. Let me see. It has a form view and then a design view. I don't even see those views here. Where is it? I think usually you can also see some of the controls at the bottom. Yeah, here. So you can see form view, you can see design view. So when I click here, you can see the form view here. Okay, this one. Okay. So now this form is connected to, let me change a few things here. So I want this form to pop up. So let me go to the form controls and then do a few things. Pop-up property should be set to yes, and I think modal dialog also to yes. And see what happens. So, and then I choose form. Okay, so I just want it to be a window by itself so it can float like this. Yes. So I can begin to type things. So member ID is auto-generated. That means I can even edit this form further and then delete this one off. Delete this one. Yeah, because we don't type the member ID ourselves, right? So there's no need for it to be there. So you go straight ahead. First name, let's say first name is Josh, and then last name is this. Email is Josh.ado, for example, at Gmail. This is not my correct gmail.com. And phone, let's say 0243667, whatever. And then date joined, I want to choose this date picker and say this date, and then date of birth. I want to use a date picker and choose a date of birth, this, and then status, we made it a drop down to active. Yeah, so when I click here and go to next, it is added. So now you can go to the members table. You can go to the members table. So I think when you choose this way of showing your form, you need to close it before you can open, yes, see, other database of this like this. So you can see I've been added, but I was added through the form. Yes, because this is how we do it. And then you can see the relationship. You can see how the other tables are related to it. Now let's add a few members through the form. I want it quick. So give me your first name. Who is talking? Talk quickly. Who is talking?
Nancy.
Nancy. Nancy. Your surname?
Mensa.
Okay. Email, let's say nancy.mensa@gmail. Just for example, at gmail.com. Phone 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Date joined not too long ago. Date of birth very young, just about 3 months ago. And then active. We click on this one, new blank form. You are added. Next person. Quick.
Vanessa.
Vanessa.
Yes.
Is the Vanessa correct? Hey, see the way I've typed it. Is it double N or
Yes,
double
please.
S? It's double N.
Yes, ESAH.
Okay, so
ESAH.
Vanessa appear. So let's say Van dot app at hotmail.com. It can be anything. Phone number 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. Date joined. Okay, this is date of birth, so date joined is here. Date joined is rather forward. No. And then we have, let's say, Vanessa, let's make you pendant just for illustration. So Vanessa is added. One more. Quick.
Doreen.
Someone will say.
What? Or say,
Doreen.
what, Emmanuel? Say again, your first name first. Don't add all of them. Samuel. Next one. Osei. So Sam.Osei at sorry. Osei's membership, let's say, is pending. All right. So now when you go to the membership table, you see all of these guys there. And now when we go to events, we can do a form for events. So now let's say, let me close this one. And I click on events and we do similarly. We come to form. Now you get this kind of form. We can edit this form and move forward. Because I'm going to drop this one, I don't need it. And I'm also going to drop the ID. And then I don't need all of this space to shrink it back. That's okay. So now let's say a few properties about the form. Pop-up and modal. So that I can get a space to do other stuff. And then I say, let's call it events. Yep. And then I can show it in form view. Okay, so this is the events. So event name. What event are we going to do? Come up with some event name.
Quiz.
Hey, this is social club.
Aerobics.
What? Aerobics.
Yeah.
Aerobics, spell it. It's been a long time since I spelled that word. I'm not sure I've been spelling it. Aerobics is what? Spell it.
A
A
E
E
R
R O
O B
B
I C
I
S.
C S. Okay, so aerobics event date was this. Location was Cape Coast Stadium. Description, we can leave it blank. Maximum attendance was 20 members. Okay, so that is event 1. Another event that we had, what was the name of the event? What event did we have? Oh,
Picnic.
What does picnic mean? What do we do there? What do we do at picnic?
It's just like a relaxation or socialization program just to bring people together.
Okay. So what was the location? Let's
The
say
breeze.
Hatchland, the
Okay.
breeze.
Yeah.
I think the breeze, the there is DA, right? Like this.
Yeah.
Okay.
DE.
E. Okay.
Yeah.
And what was the attendance? That one, I think many people will go. So let's say 50. People like enjoyment. Okay. So even with this, you can check in the events. Let me close. In the events table, you can see that these things have been added. And you can see that this plus is telling you that it is connected to the members table. And when you open the members table, you can also see the same kind of connection between the two tables. And now when you want to query, you can come here, create, let's say, query design. And these are the tables, events, members. Even though you do not see a direct relationship between the two, there is a relationship between the two through the member event table. So when I do the querying, it will pass through the member event table and it will be right. So let's say I do last name, first name, phone number, and then the event you attended, and then the date, and let's say the location. Okay, and I run this query. Okay, so it will show, okay, Josh Addo, I requested a phone number, so the phone number is here. The event you attended is aerobics. This is the date, Cape Coast. The same person. Picnic. Really? Let me see what is happening. So I've repeated twice. Okay, so let me see something. It looks weird. This is weird. Let me bring this one in between them. And then I'm going to do like the member's last name and first name and then phone number. And then the event the person attended. So event name and location. Just this one is okay. Let me check one one of the few things. It looks like something weird is happening. You see this expression? Let me go to design view and see. So let me create the query again. It should work. So query design. Let's do it. Let me close it. Step by step. For example, if you want to query from a single table, for example. So let's say members. Members' last name, first name. Let's say their phone numbers, for example. From a single table, you should be able to see all of them. Now, we want to see how it relates to the other table. It's working or not working depends on the relationship. Yeah, so I think the relationship should be right. Now, when we get back here and we want to bring this here, and let's say, okay, these same members, we want to see event name. The relationship doesn't seem to be working the way it should. Right? But the sense that we are trying to communicate is how you design a relational database in Access, how you break the whole system into multiple independent components called entities, and how you model the entities into a table like this, how you set the table columns. Those are the attributes or the properties of the entity you want to keep us in the database. How you build them as we have built these tables. And then assessment of the relationship between the tables. In this case, members attend events, events are attended by members. That's the relationship. It is many-to-many relationship. So we want to model the relationship through a junction table, this one, right? So that is what we have tried to illustrate. I'll go through the relationship and then I'll give you feedback on them. Something funny is happening. Any questions? Please, if you have questions, we are done with the lecture, so you can ask any questions here. No question. No questions. Okay, if there's no question, this is where we will end the session for today. I'll share the videos with you, and in our subsequent meeting, we'll clarify, but you can also go through the relationship issues. We'll clarify it, but begin to find a system you want to model, not the same as the one we are using for illustration. There are a lot of things around you, I mean, in your church, in your house, in your small business, in your relationship with your friends. There are a lot of things you can model into a database. Find one as a learning community, deliberate on a good one you want to do, and then begin to work on. But I'll set up the official assignment on the Google Classroom. And then we begin to work on that. So thank you very much for your attention. We will meet again.
You are welcome, sir.